Welcome to Inside Cowboys Training Camp, driven by Ford. It's a day off for the Cowboys today after their preseason opening loss to the Los Angeles Rams yesterday, 31-21. Tommy Yarrish alongside Mickey Spagnola here from Oxnard. Not a day off for Danny McCray and the Cowboys Youth Football Organization. They're putting on a camp today. But, Mickey, let's talk about that opening preseason game. What are some of your overarching thoughts from really an up-and-down day in Brian Schottenheimer's head coaching debut?
Yeah, it really was up and down, but I think we have to first qualify the fact that the Cowboys sat out like 25 guys that could be, would be starters. So they played a lot of the second and third team guys. So the Rams probably did the same thing. So I think we have to at least qualify that result. I think what we want to look at, Tommy, is maybe individual performances, guys that are trying to make this team. That's why these games are so important.
And one of those guys who will almost certainly make this team and got his first game in a Cowboys uniform yesterday was Joe Milton. And you talk about up and down. I think that was the epitome of that game for Joe Milton. Had his first touchdown to Rivaldo Fairweather, but also threw an interception deep in double coverage. What did you make of Joe Milton's first game as a Cowboy?
Yeah, I thought it was kind of average, but then what would you expect? We're talking about a guy that only played one game last year when he was in New England. It was the last game of the season. So during the regular season, he never threw a pass until that game. And even in the preseason, he only threw a handful of passes. So we're talking about a rusty quarterback, and that's what it looked like. There were at times, Tommy, I thought you saw Joe Milton do something, you go, okay, yeah, that's what it's about. And then at other times you sat there and go, what are you doing? So to me, it was average. He was tough on himself, right? He gave himself a D minus, and I'm sure he wanted to do better. It needs to improve if the Cowboys are going to trust him to be the backup quarterback.
Which is what the plan is, and that's why Brian Schottenheimer said that these reps are so important, not just for a young quarterback, but for a young quarterback that is expected to be backing up Dak Prescott, who, by the way, has suffered injuries in 3 out of the last 5 years that have caused him to miss significant time. But let's talk about the guys that Milton was throwing it to. A couple of them had some good days, a couple plays that Milton certainly would have liked to have had back. You know, I think when I think about guys who would have had a better day had Milton maybe been more online and in rhythm, Ryan Flanoy, the two of them, the deep shot interception was to Flanoy, and he had a couple other balls that Milton just kind of sailed over him. Aside from Flanoy, who else stood out to you from the wide receiver room?
The guy that keeps showing up, Trayshawn Holden, right? Rookie free agent from Oregon. He keeps making plays, it seems like almost daily, some spectacular, and he had a couple good plays, good receptions in the game, and I was sitting there going, okay, I think he's the guy that you at least want on the practice squad. But if he keeps doing that, I think he's got his hand in the air saying, hey, maybe you need to keep a sixth receiver. So we'll see where that one goes with him.
And you mentioned Trayshawn Holden making plays. He's made them here in Oxnard, too, over the last week or so, leading into the preseason game. One guy who we'll talk about in our next segment coming up has not been here in Oxnard long. Less than 48 hours after rejoining the team, Malik Davis led them in rushing yards. We'll talk about his performance when we come back.
Inside Cowboys Training Camp, presented by Ford, is brought to you by AT&T, official sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys. Sleep Number, the official sleep and wellness partner of the Dallas Cowboys. And by your North Texas Ford dealers. Ford is the best in Texas. This segment is brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors, official sporting goods retailer of the Dallas Cowboys.
Welcome back into Inside Cowboys Training Camp, presented by Ford. Tommy Yarrish alongside Mickey Spagnola. Mickey, we've been here for about 3 weeks, so we're pretty settled into Oxnard. Malik Davis has not been here long, only about 48 to 72 hours, but yesterday the Cowboys brought him back after releasing him a few months ago to add some running back depth. He goes out on Saturday, less than 36 hours after he arrived in Oxnard, and he leads this team in rushing, 7 carries, 63 yards. What do you make of that?
Yeah, it was pretty amazing if you think about it. Malik Davis got here one day. They signed him. The next day, the Cowboys had a walkthrough practice. So he participated in only that, hadn't had the pads on in like forever. and he goes out there and has a performance like that. I mean, he was the Cowboys' rushing game in that preseason game. And we've seen this before from him. He can never really latch on with the team, but when he gets an opportunity, he seems to always do something. I thought that was awfully inspiring, and they're going to have to think about it. If nothing else, keep him on the practice squad.
Right, and that's where he spent the last 2 years in Dallas before they released him a few months earlier. So a somewhat familiar face making a new impact, but a new player making a little bit of an impact I thought was Phil Maffa. This is a guy who, with Jaden Blue out, Javonte Williams and Miles Sanders both did not play, certainly took advantage of his opportunities, the rookie from Clemson.
Yeah, and, he was only a 7th-round pick, but let's qualify that. He was a 7th-round pick because last year at Clemson, he played through a labrum tear in his shoulder, and so he wasn't at full speed. Well, talking to him before the preseason game, he talked about, this is the first time I feel like I've played free, like I wasn't scared to use my shoulder, and I think it showed. This guy's big. He's got some speed, and he's not afraid to bang the ball up the middle. So I think that, they're going to have to consider seriously about if he makes the team or the practice squad.
And you talk about going up the middle. That's a big part of the Cowboys' trenches. We'll talk about how they did on the offensive and defensive sides of the ball up front when we return on Inside Cowboys Training Camp.
This segment was brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors, official sporting goods retailer of the Dallas Cowboys.
And welcome back into Inside Cowboys Training Camp. Tommy Yarrish alongside Mickey Spagnola. This last segment, as always, brought to you by our good friends at Ford. Mickey, let's talk about the line of scrimmage, specifically on the defensive side of the ball. This is a defense that is now taken over by Matt Eberflus, and one of the staples of the past defenses that he has called has been stopping the run. The Cowboys let up 181 yards on the ground in Saturday's preseason loss. Do you take a lot of salt into that, or do you kind of just let that simmer as a preseason thought for now?
Yeah, it's a preseason thought. Now, let's face it, the only potential starters that were playing yesterday on that defense up front, Mozzie Smith got a few snaps, and Maris Leofau, the linebacker. If the Cowboys are in 3 linebackers, he's on the field quite a bit. He played some, and he really showed that he belongs on the field. Other than that, it was a lot of backup guys, third-string guys, and they did not. I didn't see anybody step up and go, okay, you got to keep me on this team, right? And that's what these guys are playing for. So, yeah, the front line and some of the linebackers have to do a better job. And it wasn't just running the ball. There were some pass plays that the linebackers got faked out. They got to do a better job. So from a defensive standpoint, yeah, I'm sure the coaches probably not real happy with what happened against the run.
Yeah, and they'll certainly dive into that film today. Now, going ahead to next week, they go back to Arlington, AT&T Stadium, for week 2 of the preseason against the Baltimore Ravens. What do you need to see, not just on the defensive side, but on the offensive side at the line of scrimmage, that'll encourage you that things are moving in the right direction?
Yeah, they've got to play better. And a lot of those guys that were playing last night are playing basically to be backups, right? The Cowboys can't just go with 5 starters on the offensive line. You need another 5 guys, and a lot of those guys were playing. So you would hope that, okay, they got this under their belt. Now they've got to play better. They were mixing and matching a little bit on the offensive line, who was playing center, who was playing guard, but it's got to be better going forward.
They'll try to be better when they return to Arlington next week. That'll do it for us here on Inside Cowboys Training Camp. We will see you tomorrow once again.
He'll throw it deep downfield, and it's Israel Mukwamu who has a pick.
Inside Cowboys Training Camp, presented by Ford, was brought to you by AT&T, official sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys. Sleep Number, the official sleep and wellness partner of the Dallas Cowboys. And by your North Texas Ford dealers. Ford is the best in Texas.